I'm serious.
I love that's how
That
we
was
open the
perfect timing.
stream. Is
Yeah,
was
I'm a
perfect
pirate in
timing,
real
right?
life, baby.
beat you down.
Yeah.
Hi, the
I'm
internet.
so serious
She's
though.
a pirate.
I'm a
She
pirate in
sells.
a.
Why so serious?
She sells the streams of like Pirates Bay.
So, hello everybody. Welcome to Sunday night. We're glad that you've come to join us for our zero session for our new campaign that we've kicked up for Sunday nights, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West Coast time. Tonight is very informal. We are going through the process called zero session, which is we begin to explain the nature of the campaign. We talk about. I'm getting feedback for. Am I getting feedback, or is that you, Chaz? Is that someone in your background? Huh, weird. Sorry, guys. Where basically we talk about the campaign, we talk about the expectations of the group. We make sure that everyone's comfortable with the overall theme. We will be rolling our stats tonight. We will be rolling up characters. I also have informed the group that they are free to build any character class that they would like. If they have, if they want to build a subclass of their own choosing, they want to build an existing subclass, or if they want to build a combination of classes and subclasses that become its own unilateral class, they're allowed to do that as well. This will be a backstory-driven game. We can expect the RP to be a little bit heavy, but not necessarily required, as we all, play our particular style that, that we like to play. Although, Wolfric brings a few tears to my eye, but most people won't get that reference, but that's okay. This is a homebrew event. I am using the existing world of Wildmont. I'm going to be focused on the Menagerie Coast, and we will be expressly pirate themed. This pirate theme is intended to immerse us in a campaign world that is specifically driven towards the pirate narrative. So that will be kind of fun to kind of, roam around and see what we can do and see what we can see. So just really quickly before we get started and kind of do our zero session, Shannon, a little background and make sure you do some plugs.
On me as a human being?
Yes, human being.
Cool. A human being, as far as you know. Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm going to be playing a character that you'll meet in a little while. I do some other projects. Tuesday nights is Uncanny Prose, Prose. It's actually the hoodie that I'm wearing right now. It's another Dungeons and Dragons stream, and the content for that stream is produced by Gooey Cube, which is a third-party publisher that we love very much. Fridays, Age of Arcanum. And other than that, I do a podcast called Ombligo del Diablo. It is a Mage the Ascension 5th edition podcast. It's kind of borrowing from the rules of Vampire the Masquerade and the regular Mage the Ascension rules, and we've kind of homebrewed it together to make this thing. It's a little bit dark, a little bit spooky. There's definitely some content warnings on there and a mature tag for a reason. So I would advise you to heed those. But if you like dark, spooky Western type stuff, you'll probably enjoy it.
All right, thanks, Shannon. So for those of you, if you see me pause, turn, or do something, it's because I am still getting used to my new rig, so I'm kind of tweaking while they're talking. Vince, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name's Vince. That's it. I don't have anything to plug. Follow our Discord.
Thanks,
This
Vince.
is the
Solid.
the
That's
only
all we
cool
needed.
thing. This is the only cool thing I do.
You got a cool chair, bro.
It's actually
looks-
very comfortable.
It looks
at my,
really comfy.
At my girlfriend's house, it's just a thin plastic chair. I'm so glad she's not around.
Don't be a
I
chair
could game-
hater. Don't be a chair hater, bro.
I could game with total abandon. No filter here, baby. No language filter.
Oh, yeah, we can get you an immediate love affair going for your
Oh
character.
my
I think that's
God.
genius. That's perfect.
Oh yeah, session 0 love affair, and anything going forward, cut off. And be like, hey, you showed me so much affection in session 0. What happened? My girlfriend's in the back right there with a rolled up piece of newspaper. So
Awesome. Maddie, how are you? Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and make sure you plug the podcast I hear that you and Cesare are going to be in soon.
Hell yeah! Hi, I'm Maddie. I was introduced to this. I didn't know it was happening till about half hour ago. It was really fun. A fun fact about me is I'm a gremlin in a people suit. I am an actor and an improviser based in New York, and I'm on a podcast called The General Adventuring Company with Cesare, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. We're looking to drop in the middle of May sometime, and I'm also a pirate in real life, as we heard at the beginning of this. But like for real, I work Ren fairs. It's very fun. Very excited to become a pirate once again.
Nice. Thanks, Maddie. Cesare. I've got you in there as Ches because I always forget how to spell your
Perfect.
name. So
That's all right. I forget sometimes too. It happens. I have to go back and my dyslexia kicks in. I'm like, I've written this millions of times and still I'll get it wrong. Hi, everybody. My name's Cesare, and I go by Ches because it's shorter and easier, and I don't know why my mom didn't just pick that in the first place. My character, I have a few that I am unsure of how I want to do this. So we'll probably, hopefully, figure that out. Plug it in. The podcast, yes, that Maddie just mentioned, the General Adventuring Company. We're doing a lot of fun stuff with that. And then I have a media company. I create content for businesses and brands, and yeah, photo, video, drone stuff, just all kinds of goodness. Plus, I'd like to do a lot of the music things as well.
quite the excellent drone pilot too. The stuff that I've seen, Ches, so cool. So
Thanks.
cool. Brandon, tell us about you.
So yeah, first time doing anything on Twitch. Been playing D&D and tabletops for about 22 years. Like Vince, I've got nothing to plug because my 9 to 5 is more like 9 to 12.
Oh, let's be honest, Brandon. Where do you work?
I work with spaceships.
Spaceships.
I work at SpaceX.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
You're actually
Cool.
part of the Falcon 9 program, correct?
Yeah,
So
Falcon
ridiculous.
9 and the F9 Heavy.
Nice.
So I'm a quality inspector for those guys. So I make sure that they're safe to fly and all that good stuff.
Nice.
It's so cool.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, spending a Saturday with Brandon, looking at him after a couple beers, and I'm like, yeah, you inspect rocket ships.
Granted,
Now,
I do it sober.
it-
They
it-
don't condone drinking at work yet.
clearly, yeah, right. So you'll notice that Shannon's concentration is intense. That's probably because she's writing backstory stuff. It's
Yes,
one of her
indeed.
favorite things to do. So a little backstory on me. I started playing this wonderful game we call Dungeons and Dragons when I was 9 years old, and I've never really taken a break from it, with one exception. Can everybody wonder what that one exception is? 4th edition. I was not a fan. As much as I enjoyed the lore that 4th edition created, the mechanics were about the same as playing a computer game. I therefore decided just to play MMOs and Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40K, and find my thrills other ways for a few years. And then I was fortunate enough to come across 5e one day, and I fell right back in love with the game and have not looked back since. I currently run 6 games. We have a Monday night game called Faerun Reborn. It also stars Cesare. That runs from 7 to 10 p.m. West Coast time. We have 2 games on Tuesday. One of our creators in Colorado runs a game called Titans Revival. It runs from 12 to 4 o'clock West Coast time. All homebrew, everything custom world. It is 5e, but everything is net new. None of it pre-existed, which is really fun to watch. Currently, I have 2 campaigns wrapping up on Wednesdays, so I'm not sure what I'm doing with my Wednesdays yet. And then we run One Shot Presents every other Thursday, where if you're a member of our Discord, you get to be in a live Twitch stream where you run a character of either level 5, 10, 15, or 20 in a one shot designed to allow me to test my encounters while also allowing our Discord members to test character builds. So if you got a chance, hit our about link down below and pop on over to our Discord. And then I usually post the event, and you're free to join as long as there's space. I've upped it to 5 people. It used to be 4, but last Thursday's got crowded, so I felt upping it to 5 would be a fair way to balance it. And we don't camera shame. If you don't want to use your camera, you can use your anime's avatar or a artwork avatar in place of your camera, because I never want to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. And then Friday nights, we have our Dark Sun inspired campaign, Age of Arcanum. And then now Sunday, we have this game, our first session for the Debtors Gambit, which is a campaign I've been toying with for the past year since I started watching season 2 of Critical Role, or whenever it is they went live. I forget. You lose track when you dedicate 4 hours at a time to watch a show. It's pretty easy to lose track, and you lose track of time. So the premise of this campaign is we go all the way back. We go 40 years into the past. 40 years ago, the Revelry and Darktow did not exist as they do in the modern sense of the current campaign of Critical Role. There was a beginning point. There was a point when Darktow was in the hands of the current Marquis of the time, that pirates were privateers, not necessarily pirates yet. The guild houses were not at war yet. And the formation and founding of Darktow is the theme and premise of our campaign. So if anybody out there can figure out why I went with that title, that'd be pretty cool. But it definitely has both a link to the arc that I've started to write, but everybody is homebrew. So everything I'm creating is homebrew. The only exception is the geolocation of the Wildmont map, the area of the Menagerie Coast that we will be focusing on. I am going to be using the ship mechanics from Salt Marsh for the most part. I will be flavoring it a little bit to kind of help everybody. I'll be flavoring it a bit to help the players kind of be more creative and be able to interact with the ships and stuff like that. But that rule mechanic will definitely be there. We're a 5e campaign, so the 5e rules do apply. So this is where I start to set the expectation. Some rule clarifications. Number 1, when taking potions is a bonus action. Giving a physical potion to somebody else is a bonus action. Taking a potion and pouring it into the other person's mouth is an action. So certain things consume a certain amount of time, and most of how I clarify that will be obvious. For the most part, I try to follow the rules as written in most cases, but in some cases, I prefer to do a little bit differently. Dying in my game is very different. I let you take advantage of good constitution scores. So if you are making death saves, you are allowed to add your con save or your con bonus to your roll. To me, it kind of helps flavor the fact that if you're somewhat weak, it challenges you. If you're somewhat strong in both physical, mind, or whatever, however you prefer to associate it, it gives you that bonus, gives you that extra ability. The other rule I'll state is that resurrection and revivification and all the things used to bring you back from the dead are handled very differently. They're not handled in any ordinary way. They are a unique challenge every time you try to do it. And each time you do it, it gets harder and harder to do it. With that, those are really the 2 major items. Now, one of the things I think came up in our Age of Arcanum game, which Shannon brought up an excellent point. One of the challenges of online playing is social cues get a little bit more challenged to understand, whether it's latency in your line, latency in your system, or whatever the case may be. Social cues are a bit more challenging to interpret. So my best method that I know how is whenever you see me pause in my narration for more than 2 seconds, I'm done narrating and feel free to jump in. Now, the other half of that challenge is how do you avoid from speaking over each other? Well, it's virtually impossible to avoid at a table. It's still going to be difficult to avoid in an online solution, right?
You mean it's virtually impossible?
I see what you did there, Ches. I see what you did there.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
So, with that, what shall we start with, folks? I know there's got to be a million questions.
Yep.
What are you thinking, Chaz? What are you thinking of making? Because based on the convos I saw going on, you may be the least prepared to build something tonight, correct?
Oh, well, hey, I mean, least prepared. I mean, come on. I have made like 5 characters, and I just haven't really figured out who yet, based off of the party dynamic, but also each one of their personality traits. I kind of want to pick one that's going to mesh well with the rest of the group's personality traits, because I like. So in the campaign that Podcast and Maddie and I are working on, when we did our character creation, we really built it around party communication and what our character traits are personality wise, and making sure that all of those like mixed and meshed really well. So like I might want to do one particular build, but that character personality trait doesn't actually fit with the group, so it might lead me to something else. So I am quite prepared, sir, but I'm still super lost. So
Maddie, seeing that you're a relative newcomer to the overall gaming online D&D experience, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what I like to play. I like to play pirates. My first character ever was a pirate. He's a friend and a being, truly. I play bards really well because I'm a bard in real life. So like, play what you know. I love charisma-based characters because just like being an actor and being an improviser, I'm very good at talking. But it does seem that there are other faces apparent in the potential dynamic. I like to play characters that aren't what they seem. What was I thinking? I mean, I'm always down to play a bard. Always down to play some support. But I mean, other than that, I kind of want to gauge what everybody else is doing. So I don't really know what's going on. I don't really know what the vibe is yet. But I mean, that's things that I like.
Now,
so
you make a lot of goblin references. Were you thinking of playing a goblin?
I would love to.
Okay.
Positively would love to.
And you could also play a lineage that's mixed. If you want to play like a half goblin, if you wanted to play, yeah, you could do that too. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, excellent. I think that sounds very fun. Cool.
And half lineages are always a challenge because they're fun to play, but you don't get both stacks of advantages. In other words, you have to pick and choose which one. If goblin gives you certain advantages, then you take those. If you take the human advantages, you can't take all the goblin advantages. However, I like the idea of taking one from one from the other, but you can't double stack them because unfortunately that kind of breaks the overall mechanic, and could potentially make it a little bit more challenging from a balance perspective. So I would say you do go a double lineage, it's fine. You just balance the racial traits that you pick up for the most part. Anybody else? Vince, what are you thinking of playing?
Well, I heard that we're gonna do a campaign that's backstory driven, so my character's fully built is what I'm trying to say. Backstory, class, everything. It's
You
done.
better hope for those rolls.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Vince,
Oh.
you can turn yourself down a bit if you want.
I'm always turned up. Okay, yeah. Is this
He's
good?
just saying that you're hot, Vince. That's all. The mic. The mic.
Yeah. Oh, the mic is hot. Okay,
Yes.
thanks for dashing my confidence there, bud. I thought we
I mean,
were
We
growing
already
our
know that
friendship,
you.
and then
We already
you
know
go-
how fantastic you look.
This is a
You bring me
When
up
you-
and you bring me
Okay.
down.
When you
It's an
actually
emotional
have
roller
the
coaster
lights
ride.
in your room on and we can see your face and you're not just like shadowy darkness.
But I'm playing a warlock, Ches.
Oh, that's new.
I've never played a warlock before in my life. This is
I
my
haven't
first time playing
either.
a warlock.
I haven't either. I wanted to.
Yeah. But I built my custom subclass. I call it the Fathomless Buccaneer. It takes some elements of the Fathomless Warlock class and the Swashbuckler class from Rogue.
Nice. Now, Shannon, what are you thinking of playing? And then we'll come back over to Brandon here in a second.
Yeah, sure. So I am going to be playing a Blood Hunter. And I'm real excited about it. I went back and forth between a Blood Hunter and an Artificer. So I eventually landed on a Blood Hunter, and so it's actually kind of funny how I landed on that. People where I was asking, like polling everybody. I polled all of you guys about what I should play, and basically everybody that I talked to was like, you should definitely play an Artificer. So I rolled a die because I was like, okay, I'm just split between these two concepts. I really like them both, but I'm just gonna leave it up to chance. And I like determined in my head, I was like, okay, if I roll high, it'll be an Artificer. If I roll low, it'll be a Blood Hunter. And I rolled an 11, so that should have made me an Artificer. And it was one of those things where you're like, okay, I'll leave it to chance. And as soon as you do it, you realize you really wanted one thing more than the other thing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get Artificer. I'm gonna be a Blood Hunter. I really want to be a Blood Hunter. So I am making a Blood Hunter and a UA race. I don't know if we want to go into that yet, but
Yeah, we could probably wait till after we do our rolls. So, Brandon, what do you think of playing?
I'm gonna be a barbarian. Path of Wild Magic. Custom lineage as far as character. I'm a half orc, half gnome. 3'3". Looks like a goblin. Does not like being called a goblin.
Maddie.
I'm so excited. I was gonna have a goblin friend. And
You
then-
know what's gonna happen? Maddie's gonna roll up on Brandon and be like, "You're just like me. You're
We're
good goblins."
friends.
And Brandon's just gonna, well,
Not goblin. Smash. I'm sorry. I actually have a very high intellect. Don't know what came over me. I don't know if I have a high intellect. I haven't even rolled yet.
We will see.
We'll see.
honestly,
I do
depending on
too.
these rolls, I might roll a different PC.
I know, right? I need to cut back to like 10 minutes ago when we were talking to Maddie and goblins and everything, and how you're like, you could be a goblin, and you're like, that sounds really nice. I think that would be fun. As if, you forgot that there was a camera and this is not a podcast, because I do this too. Podcasting, I do these things, and then I'm
Oh
like,
no,
"Oh,
we
that
film
sounds
as well.
fun."
It's a video podcast, so she's very much aware of that. She's on camera every time she does those excited bursts, and honestly, it's
I?
one of the reasons I adore playing with Maddie.
Pretty endearing. Yeah.
Am I aware of it though? The world may never know.
That just happened.
Listen, comes with the liberal arts training. It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, here's your certificate. Here's your
Oh,
degree,
yes.
your diploma, and also here are your jazz hands.
And here are your jazz
Those come
hands and
standard
the-
for sure.
The fact that you cannot sit still and you constantly hit your mic, and it's a fun time. So, good luck,
Happens.
kid. Have fun.
By the way, you're excellent in communication now. You have a document to prove it.
Listen, you right.
Well, what's interesting is my undergraduate degree. Well, so I have 4 associate's degrees.
Nice.
I have a criminal law, English, history, and social science. And then I have an undergraduate degree in, a double majored in my undergraduate degree in history, Civil War studies, colonial studies. And then I got my master's in education. I don't use any of it to make a living, so I don't know what to tell you. What I used to do is I was a DevOps IT manager for a bank. And now that I've been not working there for well over a year, I actually felt my soul return to my body. I felt my empath abilities reassociate, and I find myself caring about people again, which luckily for me, my partner in crime, my partner Callista, has made me a much excellent person because she helps me practice that on a regular basis. And she lets me play these games in hopes of someday I can somehow, make a living out of it. If I can't, I can't. Otherwise, it's a fun thing just to do. I mean, plus practicing communication is always fun to do. So we've got an interesting hope going on, right? We've got a lot of hopes in mind. So who would like to roll first?
I mean, I'll go first because I don't know what's happening.
All right,
but,
well, you guys battle it out. I'm going to try and on the fly do something really quick because I think. So who's rolling with real dice and who's rolling with D&D Beyond dice?
Real.
I've got real dice.
Okay.
Real dice.
Realsies?
Real
Now,
dice.
Are
I
we
got
doing
real
3 sets?
Dice.
So, with that in mind, everybody out there watching, I do practice the honor system, and I trust my players to roll well. So, over the 40 years of playing this game, I rarely ever run into one that explicitly cheats. I've seen it happen, but with the way that I run my games, cheating just won't make a difference because I'll just give you DC 35 for the rest of the game, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Just going to let you know, I just rolled like 6 18s in a row.
Okay, DC 42. Go.
Got it.
Bro, your natural
so-
20s won't even hit that.
Are we going to do like 3 sets and then re-roll ones, right?
So we are going to roll all the dice first, right? So I believe we have 6 stats. You're going to roll a range of 6 rolls. Now, for each one of those rolls, you're going to roll 4d6. You throw away the lowest one, and you re-roll the first one that you get. Make sense?
So if you roll 4 ones, you're only rolling 1 1.
Correct.
Pray
Well,
you
no,
get a 6 on the next roll.
what you're actually doing is if you roll 4 dice, right? You roll 4 dice. Let's say you roll 4 ones, okay? You throw away the least, right? First, now you're left with 3 dice, and then you pick one of the 3 ones to re-roll.
Got
Now,
it.
the reason why I do it this way is now you'll have 6 stats to choose from that you can put anywhere you want. You're not rolling for a specific stat right off the bat. You're just rolling for your 6, right? You have the list of stats, and then you're free to pick and place them wherever you'd like them to go. We also have what's called the borrow and pay system. You can take, and you can only use this one time, you can take 2 points from one stat and turn it into 1 point to add to another stat. Make sense? All right, who's going to go first? I want to see. Who's going to go first? Shannon, you want to go first?
That's a nose goes.
Brandon, go ahead and roll.
Yeah, I was going to do it anyway. I just wanted to see you guys touch your nose.
Well
All
played,
right.
sir.
Here we go. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Woohoo! That will be a 9. Looking good for that first roll. That's going to go right into charisma. Da-da-da. 12. Ooh, 17.
Big money, big money, big money, no whammies.
Charisma Charisma's gonna. Well, I mean, technically, if he wants to run that
Ooh.
gnome orc combo lineage, he could probably get away with that.
$16. And last one. And so if I roll 2 ones, I take one out and re-roll the other, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so that is 13.
That all
So
six.
9, 12, 17, 17, 16, 13.
That's actually a way above
Nice.
average roll, man. That's a good
Heck
roll.
yeah.
All right, Chaz, you're up.
Oh, okay.
So now you can
I'm
start
gonna go.
thinking about Brendan, how you want to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to start plugging him into my character.
Okay.
10. So far, I've rolled a 1 on both of them at some point. 13. Ooh. 16. Uh, 15. Ooh. I'll re-roll that one. Nice. 17. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 of them. Last one. Wow. Okay, 2 ones. So we're gonna dump one of them and okay, 16. That's 10, 13, 16, 15, 17, 16.
Nice. Those are good rolls. No pressure, Maddie. No pressure. You're up.
All the pressure.
This is where we find out that I actually can't do math.
You act like that's an
same.
exclusive skill.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 6 players here. None of us can do math.
I have actually never seen a number in my entire life. It's very confusing for me.
Well, you know what they always say? If you can't
always
do
say.
math, make sure you wear flip-flops. It gets easier.
I like that.
I
Quite
legit didn't understand that, and now I do.
amazing.
Uh-oh, who did I lose? Cesare?
No, Brendan.
No, Brendan. He will be back shortly, I hope. Oh, there he is. Just like magic.
Yeah, it kind of got disconnected right there.
Okay, there we go.
How we looking, Maddie?
Pretty good across the board. Would really like to be able to do math faster. But listen, it's as long as we're not doing meth, you know, it's math. Anyway, that was a very terrible joke. Get ready for more of those, folks. This goes up from
Oh
here.
no, did we find a new Halona?
Definitely.
Look,
Definitely.
all right. She started off with the puns, and they got better. All right.
Listen,
Did
puns
they?
are great. I am the mean
Did
goblin.
they? Or you
The
just
goblin
blind?
of the mean.
Well,
Um,
Wolfric was blind to Halona, let's be honest.
That's true. I was right in that
Well.
blind spot.
All right, so I have an 11, 15, 15, 17, 18, 12. Was that the right amount of rolls?
Holy shit! That.
Rolled
have
like
our
a
paladin.
god.
Well, read those off to me one more time.
11, 15, 15, 17, 18, 12.
About 20% of people roll that well. So that's
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Now let's see if that Will Wheaton let's see if that Will Wheaton curse will stick with Vince on this one. You're up, Vince.
It always does. It always does. Oh, hell yeah. That is a... That's a 12. Yay. Okay.
At least it's not a 9.
15. Another 15. I'll put it here for now. $17. Oh, come on. 16. Not 167. Come on, hot dog fingers.
Would get a shot of insulin.
And another 17. Oh my god.
My God, I'm gonna be the one to tank this. I can. Feel
Yes, you're cursed. I got a 12, a 17, a 15, a 15, a 16, and a 17.
What the heck?
Good God.
Shannon's gonna get like 18s across the board. Watch.
No. I'm gonna get like 12s, 10s, 9s.
3s across the board.
Because everybody else did so well. It's gonna go bad.
I don't even feel like I did well anymore.
All right. So, Shannon, are you ready?
Okay.
Pop them
No,
knuckles.
scared, but okay.
Pick out those dice, Laura Bailey. Let's get it going.
I know. I have like for the record, I have like a ring of dice around my keyboard. All right.
I've got like a
Losing.
little pile.
Solid start. You love to see it. All right. Okay. So 10. Great. Cool.
Now, Maddie, did I send you the campaign link? Do you have that?
Followed by an 18.
It is in the Discord if you want to click on that.
Oh, excellent.
My link's better though. Just
Mm-hmm.
$12.
I feel like there should be some like suspense, like eerie battle music going on right now because I'm sweating. I'm literally like nervous about someone else's rolls for their stats. This is ridiculous.
14.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Shannon's ultimate crutch is her ability to describe something she'd like to do and then somehow getting a DC out of me that she can pretty much overcome. So,
Natural 20. Wait.
18.
No. Very
Nice.
close. 17.
Very nice. And for our next session, for session 1 or episode 1, however you want to manage the vernacular, we will be using the D&D Beyond overlay for the stream. So you'll be able to see what, in case anyone does want to roll with dice or you want to see their details of their characters, the custom art that they're
Nice.
going to do in their avatar. So we will have that available next time. Tonight is just kind of a chill, kick back, build our characters, talk about backstories, talk about the world that's being created, and set those expectations.
Yo, we got 35 people. What's up, guys?
Hello?
I've been watching the Discord screen and I haven't even looked over at the Twitch window. And I was like, oh snap! Forgot. We were almost.
Okay, so we landed with a 10, 18, 12, 14, 17, 14.
Nice. So on average, you guys are rolling between a 60 and 80% rate. So you are now officially an above average group, right? So the other
Do I have the
thing,
lowest stat at 9?
well, I mean, that's going to make a good charisma if you want to, go that route.
Oh, that's where it went. That's where it went.
So
Right into charisma.
does everybody feel like their dice rolls meets the expectation of what they want to run?
I'm gonna have to rely on physical intimidation.
No idea.
It's not gonna be a charisma-based intimidation. That's gonna be physical.
Somebody get this man enhance ability stat.
Got it.
100
With,
cc's.
With a blood hunter, you want to have 3 high stats, and that's you need a int, con, and whatever your attack stat is to be relatively high. So workable at this point.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I still can't find the link to the campaign. Where is it in the Discord?
I'll directly DM you the link.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm still learning Discord too.
Yeah, well, and so while you guys are kind of sorting that out, I want to give all of our watchers a little bit of background on our Discord community. One of the nice things about our Discord community, or one of many nice things, we do have now a dice giveaway channel where the channel gets purged every Monday, and then you start rolling on a D1000, and on Friday we turn off the chat for it, so you cannot type in it anymore. Friday at noon. And we give away a set of dice, and then we mail them out to you, and we do this once a week. The other thing, too, is if you want to run your own game and you don't want to deal with your own Discord server, you want to just find one that's friendly, easy to use, we will set up your own category. You just let me know, invite your friends in, they become members, and you can run your own game. If you want to participate in an existing game, we have 2 that you can participate in quite regularly. There's the Thursday night One Shot Presents. There is the Driving Rain campaign, which is run by one of our younger DMs, Ian, and it's an absolutely amazing game the way he runs it. The ability to jump in and out as often as you want, the way he handles and balances the play is really, really good. One of our members had been with us for a while, and we had a conversation, had decided that he wanted his own Twitch show. So I helped him build everything he needed, helped him get together everything he needed, talked with Hope for TTRPGs, and we put together a plan and a program that let him take Titan's Revival to Twitch, and he is now running his own Twitch show and his own game at the same time. All of these things we're more than happy to do for you on our Discord. Probably the only thing we ask is that you sub, follow, or at least subscribe to our Patreon. Right now, my Patreon is more about covering the costs of games, and that's it. I would like to bring this to you on a more regular basis, but it's kind of hard to do when, you also have to kind of figure out a way to make an alt living until you can maybe make this passion into something more. So it's a challenge. We do plan on bringing you in-studio games pretty soon, including board games, another campaign possibly. We're about 80% there. We're currently solving our microphone challenges and finalizing our lighting and camera. But everything else is built. The studio is completely built out. We actually had an in-studio game today with my girlfriend and some local friends who've been running in an on and off campaign. They weren't really fans of the online process, so they were waiting for a time to be back in the game room again, and it's here. We had a 4.5-hour session this morning. It was a good game. So, all right. So, did you get the link, Maddie? Are you good? See how that works? Okay, cool. That way, make sure everybody builds their character through that link. Here's the main reason why. When I use the Twitch overlay for D&D Beyond, we'll be able to share a lot of details about your characters with the audience. If you build it on your own account and then add it to my campaign after the effect, the integration doesn't work very well. So with that, you want to, it also helps me because I have full content. There's no books I don't have, and the content's shared. So everything you'd want to get access to, you have access to. Every single book, every single source, everything you need is there. I'm very generous with homebrew. So anything you want to custom build is good. Now, as a warning, most of my players already know this, but this will be new for you, Maddie. All of my monsters are homebrew. None of them are predictable. You will not you may read the monster manual like Brandon has from cover to cover, and yet he looks at me with a blank expression when he takes on one of my monsters. So,
What now?
yeah.
Oh,
Mine
baby. All right.
Mine are all homebrew.
What do you mean radiant damage doesn't work against this zombie?
Chez has experienced a couple of my monsters, and they're kind of fun. Now, so there's 3 ways I'm going to handle encounters. Okay, for the major encounters, I will have a battle cam. We've already used it for my other games. If you would like to send me a mini, or Enigma has stated, if you send us a file that you'd like us to 3D print, we can do that as well. Enigma does have a 3D printer, so I can get the file to him. He can print the mini. I do hope to have a 3D printer in the near future because I have no natural artistic ability whatsoever. I just don't have it. I'm a great storyteller because I'm Irish. There's only 2 things Irish do. We tell stories, and we make little Irish people. That's what we do. We do nothing else but that.
You're
Also
right.
potatoes.
Yes. And whiskey.
So, with that, what else? All my magic items are homebrew. They will not, for the most part, they become homebrew. They're not, some of the basics will appear that you can just pull from the magic item list. Most of the dominant lore of Wildmont will be shelved with the exception of the Calamity. But the Kryn Dynasty, the Dwendalian Empire, the Clovis Concave, they all exist. But for the most part, I have reinterpreted the relationships for the purposes of the campaign because we are specifically focused on the pirate theme. Think of the theme as being the equivalent to the historical nature of the golden age of sail, right? The pirates are dominant, or the pirates don't exist yet, but they become so dominant and such a threat so fast. They create their own age of superiority, challenge, threat, as well as kind of the New Orleans kind of like War of 1812 feel, where they're hired to do good things or bad things, depending on who hires them. The other thing, the other mechanic I ignore is I don't use alignment. I don't look at things as either black, white, good or evil. I don't care about that. If you do run a paladin, we can flavor that in any direction that you want. Now, paladins are a bit more challenging because depending on how you have taken your oath and your involvement with your pantheon could potentially cause things to go left or right based on your behavior. I do use the DC system, the difficulty check system. This is the best part about 5e. I can run any theme that I want because of the DC mechanic. If you look at the vernacular, if you look at the way it's expressed, a medicine check could be interpreted for any theme that you want, whether it's Cthulhu, steampunk, modern era, 1920s era, gangbusters, whatever you want to play. Which is why I'm really struggling with my Wednesday campaign ideas. I've bounced a few off some of these folks on here. One of my campaigns I'm toying with is a 1920s Cthulhu steampunk alt history campaign, where it's all new subclasses, brand new subclasses that don't exist. You can play a detective, you can play a surgeon, you can play a police officer, an army officer, and World War I never ended. It continued. And the unholy one, or the one, Cthulhu himself, is wandering the face of the earth, and they are, that is the center of the theme. So far, I'm working with a title called The Descended. That may end up being my live in studio game if I can find enough interested in that. Otherwise, it's another D&D game. But either or. So, yeah, lineages. I don't care about race and class. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. It's up to you to how you interpret those meanings. To me, you have a lineage that incorporates your race, your class, your background, and who you are as who your character is. That is your lineage, pretty much in a nutshell. For me, that's what's going to define, this total interaction in our game. I use your backstories as arcs. There is already a overarching arc that exists. There's a main story arc that I've already framed out, built my NPCs out, built a fragmented kind of understanding of the world. The theme is structured and the theme exists. I've got enough content already written for probably at least 6 months to a year, so we shouldn't be too far into that. That does not mean it's written in pen, right? If you feel your backstory can bleed into the main arc as it gradually exposes itself to you, you are free to change your backstory all you want. If you want to reveal any of your backstory early on as opposed to later, right, you're free to do that as well. The only thing I would probably ask of you, if everybody's okay, I want to start you guys all at the same time. Your origin stories are up to you to decide how you met, but fundamentally, I would like to start you all as if you've already met and have been with each other for maybe a little under a year. So you know a little bit about each other, but whether you've revealed anything, I leave totally up to you. And the reason why I'd like to do it that way is that I'm going to start you guys all off at level 5. So your character will be level 5. The other thing too is you are max hit points, right? So you don't need to roll for your hit points. Just go ahead and max those out based on your con stats and your level 5. But starting with level 6, you will be rolling for your dice. Another thing, I use milestone. I don't use XP. I didn't know it was called milestone, but when I turned 12 and decided to ignore the XP charts, all of a sudden I had a rather wider variety of people at my table as opposed to 4 fighters and a paladin. So, that's the main reason why I've always steered clear of the XP tables and the way they kind of mechanically drive the types that people want to play. I would also say that I am notoriously harsh on getting to those milestones, but I don't punish you if you get to them quicker than I anticipated, right? If for some reason you make it to that milestone and then like 2 sessions later you make it to another one, you level up. However, if it takes you 20 sessions to finally get to a milestone, you'll level up. So, it's all up to interpretation at this point. So that's kind of the framework in a nutshell. Thoughts, concerns, insights? What do you guys think?
I think I'm ready to go.
All right. So, what are we making, Shannon? We'll start with you. What's your thoughts?
Okay. All right. So we are going over everything at this point, yeah?
Well, I leave that up to you. If, based on how you've plugged in your stats, I'm going to pull up the campaign so I can at least have a general idea of what it looks like. Based on how you've plugged in your stats, start with just your character. What are your thoughts? What are you building? And the direction you'd like to bring the character in.
Gotcha. Okay, I can do that. So, the way that I've plugged in my stats, my character currently has a 20 intelligence. And that is because the race that I picked is a Dampier. So a Dampier is kind of like a half-Z vampire-ish.
Okay.
I feel free to tell everybody that because our characters have known each other for a year, and that is a thing that I don't think is well hidden about her.
Gotcha.
I don't think that if you're around her for long enough, I don't think that it's possible for her to hide it. I'm kind of envisioning her a little bit Witcher vibes-esque of like, this is the kind of person that
So
belongs to.
So really quick, I had a question for you because So one of the things I love about The Witcher is the integrated way he gets his power. Some of it is passive, some of it's presumed. Are you looking at kind of bringing that into a little bit? Because I know the Blood Hunter is kind of attractive because it's a self-harm class, and I think it really helps people kind of express that story about self-harm and the challenges that kind of entails. With the blood right, the curses, the oaths, and everything, and the cuts. If you wanted to custom flavor that somehow, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on how I was going to flavor that just yet.
Okay.
So I was thinking something along the lines of Dampiers in this society are definitely kind of outcasts, right? When I was looking at the UA for it, there's like a table that you can roll on the kind of hunger that your Dampier has.
Okay.
I ended up with the traditional blood, but there's other things that you could pick from, like dreams or etc. The
Gotcha.
thing that there's also different things that could have made you a Dampier. One of them was you were in love with a vampire and you agreed to become this thing to be able to be with them for forever. And somewhere along the lines of being turned into a vampire, it failed, or etc. There's a couple different like interesting things that I found on there.
A blood hunter that espouses a companion level oath. That oath is kind of a way of gaining power when invoking the oath, and the oath itself could be your your integration or your transition from your the way you absorb power or your passive power or however you want to do that. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, so I have a very long backstory on how she became a Dampier. So I'm sure we're going to get into that eventually.
Okay.
I was thinking something along the lines of she definitely does have to consume blood, not necessarily every day. I don't think that it is something that is so strong that, like, if you see somebody bleeding, you're going to leap on their throat automatically, necessarily. But it's definitely a thing that she has to be conscious of, and that has kind of made her a bit of a pariah. Of like, she kind of exists on the fringe, but is capable enough that her and her skills are brought in to solve, certain issues. I see her as a monster hunting monsters. So that's
So a little
kind
bit of
my pitch.
a little bit of what's his name, Van Helsing, right? A little bit of Van Helsing,
A little bit, yeah,
a little bit of
Van Helsing.
Witcher, a little bit of this. Yeah, okay, I like that. Any custom requests? Any thoughts?
Okay, so the order that I chose.
Okay.
I get a patron in this order.
Okay.
You basically get like warlocky type abilities. I think that compared to the other orders, it's a little bit slim on the power. There's a couple others that you could
Right. No, I got
go
you.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be things that we might have to adjust to make it feel a little bit beefier, because there's like, for example, one of your class abilities, you can only use it once per long rest until like 11th level or something crazy like that. So some things that we might have to tweak mechanically.
Right. No, I got you.
I also did do a custom background.
Gotcha.
Not a lineage, but I did do a custom
Cool.
background.
Which reminds me, one other thing to consider as you're forming up your character, you're free to choose what I call a secondary skill set, whether you want to be a gambler, a tinkerer, an alchemist, a botanist, you want to be a carpenter, you want to be a blacksmith, a tanner, a gunsmith. You're free to be any one of those things that you can practice, and gaining proficiency in it will alter some of your skill sets with how you interact with the world. So that's one option you're free to dip into if you choose to. You don't have to, but you're free to. Any other thoughts? You good?
That's my thoughts for the moment.
Okay. And so your lineage is the vampire lineage, basically, or?
Can you define that?
Well, I don't know. Can you? I mean, that's kind of the like I would imagine once your backstory's done, at the bottom of the backstory, if you could just bracket out your interpretation of your lineage for me, it'll help me better kind of like assess how the world's going to try to react to you, if that makes more sense.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to define what you mean by a lineage at some
So
point.
your race, your class, your a brief 2-sentence summary of your backstory, just a brief synopsis of you as your your character, so that I can like add it to one of my OneNote chapters as a panel, and then I'll link that to your full backstory, so that as I dissect your backstory and we make changes through the campaign, it's easier for me to get in and out of, the details. And the summary always gives me good bullet points to operate off of in case I'm inspired by the way you guys play. Because a lot of times you may freely role play something. I don't care how you do it, as long as you don't, as long as it's not done in a vulgar or, malicious way. You do something that's inspiring to me, I may pull it into the game because it makes sense. I find that you guys end up doing about half my writing anyways. So
Okay, so like a TLDR. This is how this person views this world. This is how the world views this person. 2 sentences.
yeah, super simple, because I can almost guarantee you by the end of the campaign, you will have grown. You will be a different
hoping so.
character. All
Yeah,
right.
she's gonna be starting the game at kind of a rough place, so I'm sorry.
Oh, Vince is happy. He gets it. Vince, talk about your character. What are your thoughts, and did you get what you needed?
I would like to thank the dice gods for this nomination. I appreciate you. I charge my dice positively by letting them rest overnight on 6s. I mean, I didn't get an 18, but I'm happy with the result. Thank you. I knew the offering of incense was gonna do a lot for me here. Yeah, I got a lot of what I needed.
Nice.
Yes.
So, any questions for me on the customization or anything that you would like to
Yeah,
customize?
so I made a custom class. I call it the Fathomless Buccaneer.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's gonna be like a martial warlock, like hexbladey, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Because I like warlocks. That's the only class I like to play.
Well, matches you in real life, so it makes sense.
I'm not dark in real life. I'm a nice guy. But yes.
All right. So same thing for you. If you can do like a 2-sentence, just like a 2-sentence summary for me that I can put in my OneNote, and then start, incorporating all the backstory stuff as well.
Well, I sent you the Google Docs thing,
Okay.
but I'll write a TLDR towards the bottom with bullet points for you.
Perfect. That will help me a lot.
Okay, so for my class or race or lineage, it's the UA Reborn.
Okay.
But just for everybody, when you guys look at him, he is for all intents and purposes, he's a tiefling. Yeah, he kind of keeps to himself. He does the carpentry work on the ship.
Okay.
Anybody who has spoken to him, he's kind. Seems to be confused on what we're doing here exactly. If anybody manages to wrangle the story out of him, he was assuming that he was going on a merchant ship and making money and sending it home to mom.
So you were Shanghai.
Yeah, so basically the story was he saw a flyer in his hometown of Shamal, and if you guys watch Critical Role, that's basically where Dalen's closet is.
Yep.
So his mom is poor and she works in the resort town. And he just wants to give her a good retirement. Dad has since passed away. Not anything tragic. He was old.
Gotcha.
But he taught him the craft of carpentry. So he's just like, oh, I can go on a ship, repair it when needed, or craft nice furniture on board. Saw the flyer. He was just like, yeah, let's go. The captain says we're going to an atoll and we're gonna go to something called the Revels. That sounds like a nice party. I hope I can make mom proud.
And on that note, Shannon, before I forget, did you have a naval position in mind? Obviously, the only one not on the table is captain at the moment.
Indubitably. The navigator
Okay.
is what I was looking at, like tactician type.
All right, make sure you include that in your skill set. So, you're not proficient in it. You are considered the navigator. It will be a intelligence check typically as a navigator, with the occasional wisdom check as well, depending on the condition. That's your interpretation of maps and navigation. To write and do your own maps, to make your own navigational charts, it'll be sleight of hand and performance for the most part.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the beauty is as you get better at it, you will always add your proficiency that you start with to any of your roles with this skill set. So it's, let's say you want to read a map that describes Rumblecuff, right? And you're trying to find a good a cove for the ship to anchor into. I might say, give me an intelligence check. So you'll roll your d20, add your intelligence modifier, and add your proficiency modifier that you currently have at your proficiency level. Now, as you get better at the skill, obviously your proficiency modifier goes up, but your overall navigation skill, you will eventually become proficient in it, assuming you don't die. You'll eventually become proficient in it, and therefore you will be able to do more things with advantage as opposed to not having that advantage yet. So it's a skill that you'll be able to grow into. Vince, you're going with Carpenter, correct?
Yes.
That's going to be a bit of a strength, dex, wisdom combo, including sleight of hand and performance. So same thing. You use your modifiers plus your proficiency modifier. I'll generate the DC based on the condition, and you'll do your carpentry skill checks based on that.
Mama didn't raise a strong boy.
I've heard that before. I don't remember where.
If
But
you
I've
guys
heard
can
it
tell,
before.
I dumped strength as warlock. How does that feel, Brandon? Dumping charisma.
All right. So
That's brave. So brave.
So Vince, anything else for you?
Are we going into personality traits or?
If you want any custom ones, it's up to you. I mean, and lineage traits, right? Like racial traits. If you want to customize something to give it some flavor, as long as it's not overly OP, I don't have a problem with that. Because I want to make sure the flavor of your character matches the flavor of your background and the story that you're trying to immerse yourself in.
No, I feel like my the reborn UA is doing pretty much what I want it to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
Perfect.
I'm good.
All
I'm
right.
good, yeah.
Maddie, you're up. We're going left to right.
Okay. What? Okay, so I think, if it's okay with everyone else, I would love to play an annoying bard. So that's my happy place, truly. So I promise I won't be too bad.
Only if you promise not to overutilize vicious mockery.
Aww, but Dad, please.
Shannon was so offended by that statement.
Right,
Don't
right.
actively offended.
Fine.
Sorry.
It's gonna be very fun. I'm really loving my half goblin kind of thing.
Okay.
I will figure out. What you'll learn very quickly about me is that I don't know rules at all. I am simply. I just like to make characters. But I really like, like the idea of
It's a teach and
little,
learn. It's a teach and learn campaign. Like I said,
Yeah!
you can't do anything wrong here. It'll be
Cool.
perfectly fine.
Listen, I'm gonna ask so many questions too. It's gonna be great. So I'm really loving this half goblin thing. I thank you for that.
Yep, absolutely.
Half goblin bard. I would like to be the ship's cook because I feel like I can't be useful, But like I can be useful, but like not that useful. There's like a level to it,
I would argue the ship's cook is like
Very
one of the most
useful.
important,
You're
most
absolutely
useful.
correct.
Like you're the only ones keeping us away from scurvy.
This is, oh my god, My favorite story in real life is
And
that one of my friends in
cannibalism.
college actually got scurvy, and I think about that at least once a day. Anyway,
That's
but yeah,
terrifying. That is
I know.
terrifying.
I know. Shout out to Scott if he's watching. Anyway, so, but I think having just like the character concept of having like a bard cook delights me on a lot of levels. I think the capacity for some goblinry in there is just chef's kiss. No
Is
pun
it going to be one of
intended.
those restaurants where the servers like sing to you in between their when they're busking or while they're bussing tables? They hear their song come on and they're like, oh,
Oh, my song. I'm kind of thinking the chef from Little Mermaid. Like chopping up some crabs and lobsters and stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to sing a little bit of that because I feel like that's copyrighted. Yep, that's what
I
I
think you
thought.
get like 6 seconds.
That's like a TikTok. Anyway,
just be like hee 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 ho.
yeah,
Good.
exactly.
That's it.
That's the mood. Is this a bad time to mention that I've never actually seen Critical Role? I know very little about it.
No, I mean that's fair enough. I mean, I mostly
Cool.
use I like Matt's writing style because he writes very similar to me. He writes in a framework
Cool.
fashion. There
Nice,
are some
okay.
core things in his content that he focuses on because they came about within his game, right? Within the 2 games that he ran. But like when I started doing my research on Darktow quite some time ago, and then we had this conversation all of a sudden, I began to realize there's virtually nothing about Darktow in the content. It's all very minimalized and structured in such a way that it's very easy for me to build around it without really kind of tripping over anything that's, core to anything else, and it gives me the freedom to create. So, no, I mean, I think watching Critical Role is an acquired taste. Yes, they are. Who did I lose? Ches?
Yes.
Ooh, look at that! Didn't break the screen so bad. That's pretty cool.
Ooh.
It's actually kind of weird that it did it that way. It's usually
It's because he didn't leave the channel. He changed his name, so it shifted him out of order on the thing.
Oh, he did. Ches,
Come on,
can you put it
Ches.
back?
Come on.
Put it back to TBD.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
I thought I was doing a good thing. I was like, all right, I decided on a name. Nope,
Notes for Rob.
Nope, yeah, messed it up.
ruined it.
You done goofed, buddy.
So yeah, so I would say a lot of people watch Critical Role for different reasons, right? Either because it's a group of professional voice actors playing a game they love. It's entertainment. It's pure entertainment watching them play. It absolutely is. Watching Matt, watching Matt balance his custom mechanics against the rules as they're traditionally written, and then how he does all the creativity in there. I love it. I mean, I've been doing that for years. The only thing I can't really do all that well is the voices. I try, to do my best with the voices to give you the experience I hope you will want from a game. But probably the formula, I don't know why people chase it, because it's a formula you can't chase. Critical Role is a fun show to watch because it's a 10-year friendship playing a game for 10 years. Anybody can do that, right? Anybody can have a very long-term friendship playing a game, whether it's Pinochle, Warhammer, D&D, whatever your flavor is. There's no formula for friendship, right? As you mature and you get to know each other, and I didn't know Brandon until a couple of years ago. I didn't know Ches until about a year ago. I'm meeting you for the first time tonight, Maddie. Vince and Shannon about a year ago. And our relationships have matured. We share a passion for this experience, and it matters to me. It matters. So I always recommend Critical Role because it is a fun show to watch. I mean, my favorite character is always going to be Season 1 Scanlan. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. For 2 reasons. One, he's played very well, and he built it. So So what's his name again? Brandon that plays Scanlan? I forget.
Sam Riegel.
Sam Riegel, thank you.
Yeah, what they said.
I keep calling him Veth in my head, and he's not Veth. He is Veth, but he's not Veth. So Sam Riegel never played D&D before until he was asked to play for that campaign. They were all level 9 or 10 before they started filming season 1. He purposely built a horrible class combination for that reason. He built a gnome bard. Everybody in the min-max world will tell you that is the worst possible combination that you can build for a bard. But it created such a role-play event that watching Scanlan be played out that way, it was phenomenal to watch. It was amazing. It was really cool. There's a little bit of Scanlan and Veth, I'm not going to lie. But I would say Jester is now my favorite character of season 2. Jester Laura Bailey's dynamic is just so amazing. It's absolutely fun to watch that character. And she kind of reminds me of the way Shannon sometimes plays and the way my girlfriend Callista sometimes plays. Very troubled over very dramatic points of a story, right? They become troubled and concerned to the point of fixation and won't let something go. And it's fun to watch that play out because as a storyteller, man, I love that because while you're doing that, the reality is I'm kicking it and I'm probably taking notes if you're RPing that way because I'm going to throw that into the arc. If I see something good I like, I'm putting it in there. I love it. So thoughts, Maddie, what are you thinking? What direction and what class? So I know Bard, we know half Goblin. I'll let you pick the other half, however you decide to pick the other half.
Beautiful.
Chef. So here's the thing, chef and cook, I consider them the same. A cook will be performance, sleight of hand, constitution, and wisdom for the most part. You will be able to use those modifiers when you make your checks if it's cook or chef related. Because you are a bard as your base class, you will be able to, if you choose to, create food that inspires just as much as you can do inspirational feats as a bard, right? So
All right.
at the same rate, you may misinterpret a dish that you think is amazing and you just pretty much made the whole crew sick without realizing you did it. So, it can go both ways from that interpretation.
Awesome. I like that. That sounds fun.
So any other thoughts? Any other thoughts about your character overall? Questions about the customization concern? Oh no, you picked chef. Never mind. My brain was already heading to the right side of the page.
Excellent. I don't know.
And because my world does not presuppose inherently evil behaviors, being a goblin isn't necessarily a kill on sight kind of existence. The world's a very integrated world. It's more dominated by economy of scale and regional power is the dominant effect. It's who you work for that defines you more than who you are to a certain degree.
Hey, cool. I don't know too much else yet. We'll get there. Woo.
So, Ches, what are you thinking?
All right, so I've been putting the stats that I rolled into all of the different characters that I've processed out, and the thing I'm leaning towards most is a Sorkadin, a paladin sorcerer.
Okay.
And I was looking at a changeling.
Those are fun. They're challenging, but they're fun.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest problems I have with Dungeons and Dragons is my obsession and wanting to constantly do multiple attempts at different types of voices and accents.
Right.
And this is like the creme de la creme of types of characters to just be able to do that nonstop and not have to worry about, is my accent consistent for this one character? Because it could just be all over the place.
Absolutely.
And that would actually kind of be a bit of, that mindset or personality trait wise is not really having a real form or sense of identity, and just kind of basing a lot of who this person is off of the people that they are portraying. So they'll wear a face for a while and kind of get into that, and then it won't be tactical or something, and then they'll change it to, and then they'll be in that person, they'll experience that person. So yeah, was thinking that would be fun. And I was looking at all of the different options, because giving me access to your D&D Beyond account, it just that ruined it for me. Like it just became way too much, way too many choices, and I went too deep and got overwhelmed. But as far as the oath, I was looking at Oath of the Open Sea,
Okay.
because pirates, it makes sense. And then yeah, for sorcerer, oh yes, one of the fighting styles that I thought was really interesting that came up was Blessed Warrior, where you can get 2 cleric cantrips. So naturally, I went with the ones that did the most damage, because that's fun. But when I was looking at other fighting styles, I was like, it doesn't really seem like that would be this person's type of path that they would necessarily choose. So yeah, path or Oath of the Open Sea, which gives you some fun, water manipulating spells and stuff like that. I think the thing that really messed me up was seeing all of the different half-elf variations, and the fact that there is a storm or a sea half-elf, and all of the advantages that come along with just having, all those little fun, you can push water 10 feet, and just all those little add-ons were just like so tempting and looked really neat. So when I statted this person out, I was looking at a name, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, Omni, because yeah, it makes sense. They're all of the people. And I like one-word names. They're fun. For the stats, I ended up having charisma ended up being 20, wisdom 13, intelligence 10, con 17, dex 16, strength 15. So it was going to be a dex base fighter.
Yeah.
That's actually mostly heavy on the spells, but yeah, getting into what was it? All of the different fun things that you can do with Shape Changer and having such a high charisma. Looking at the different roles for the ship, First Mate seemed like it was mostly charisma based, keeping everybody's morale up. Relaying orders seemed like it might be a good fit. Somebody who has the ability to wear any face seems like they'd be a good person to have right at the captain's, right hand, kind of being alongside them as either a bodyguard or, if they have to go into a more diplomatic situation,
So-
being able to change into somebody else, I thought would be pretty neat.
One of the things I like to do with the changeling class when they do pop into my realm of running games,
Mm-hmm.
I like to give the player a couple options when playing a changeling. Do you want your magical ability to include what you wear? Therefore, your very nature is to be naked, right? Your very existence is to be a naked person, so that every time you change into something, your magical ability allows your clothes to change, or your armor class could be impacted by this method. But if you're wearing clothes in a more traditional way, if you change into something that doesn't necessarily fit what you're wearing, you can end up hulking, and your deception could be at disadvantage, because they may wonder why they're talking to a Goliath wearing clothes that fits a 4'5" person. Kind of narrative could play out as well. So playing changelings can be challenging that way. So if you want to flavor that a particular way, I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, having the ability to shift form so that the appearance of what you're wearing shifts with you also is great.
Yep.
Because that's one of the interesting things about Changeling. It's not just a visual rearranging. Like your physical like proportions shift. You can move those around, which is pretty cool.
Cool. Anything else you can think of? So first
Well, I mean,
mate.
I have like 4 others that are just like
So
yelling at me.
first mate, right? There's that. There
I didn't really see
is-
any other ones that were kind of. I mean, the powder monkey seemed like it would be pretty good. I mean, with high charisma, if I'm under the decks yelling at people, trying to get them to do stuff right,
right.
either intimidating or persuading them to do better might be something, firing cannons, that's kind of an important thing. But I just think it would be fun because I like explosions. So that's just me personally. I'd be like, yeah, I want to blow stuff up. Let's go.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I thought a charisma based thing would be a bit more advantageous. And I feel like a smart captain would probably want somebody like a changeling close by.
First mate is charisma and wisdom, performance, and persuasion.
Well, my persuasion and performance are both +8, so
Okay.
yay for that. My wisdom's only 13, so it
Pretty people don't always make wise decisions.
we make fun ones though, so but yeah, that's kind of where my head was. I'm not really sure how this interdynamic will work with everybody else, and I haven't even really settled on any type of actual personality, whether they're upbeat, vivacious, friendly, or if they're a bit more like melodramatic and monotone. But when they go into a character or a face that they're wearing, they just, I mean, if it's got that southern twang, or if it's got a typical dwarf, I don't want to say Scottish accent because they can be from all over the place and Scotland isn't in our world, so but yeah, we'll see how it kind of balances out with the rest of the cast and party.
Okay. So Brendan, what are you working on? Did you get the roles you wanted, and are you good to go?
Oh yeah. Half orc, half gnome. Gonna go barbarian, path of the magic. Wild magic. Path of wild magic.
One of the things I do like about wild magic, I do flavor it more like a traditional shamanistic approach. I do have a custom wild magic table, so the wild magic table in the book will not be used. I use my own table for that. And it's a blend of successes, failures, and outcomes of successes and failures, depending on certain rolled conditions that may occur. So, for example, if you have a ranged attack spell that you roll a natural 20 on, I usually will flavor the wild magic to work in your favor. But if you roll a natural 1 on a ranged attack with a spell, well, it could go real bad real quickly. So,
well, the way I was reading the Path of Wild Magic is it's kind of something that doesn't consciously happen. Basically, I roll a D8, and one of those things ticks into effect until like the rage ends. Meanwhile, I'm smashing something with my axe while it's going off.
Right. So the D8 roll I customized.
Okay.
So whether it's that's right, because barbarians don't. Well, you still have some. You still have some spell casting though, right? Nope. So it's just when you're in your rage. That's right.
When I'm
you're
raged.
in your rage, magical things happen because you're in your rage. Okay.
Yep, and that's a random thing off a D8.
So for you, it's going to be a D12.
Okay. Yeah. So background, happy childhood. It's very wholesome. Parents were retired adventurers. One's a gnome, one's an orc. Guess which is which? Dad was a gnome warlock with the Fey Pact, with the condition that he would give the first child he bore to his patron. When he fell in love with an orc, didn't think it would work, and was like, okay, we're safe. Don't have to worry about getting kids away. Fey magic got involved. I wind up becoming Fey touched, and I'm born. Well, then there was the verbiage of the agreement. First child that my father bore would actually be the gift. And since my mother is the one that bore me, that's not what happened. Not wanting to be cheated out of, their payment, the patron decided, okay, well, then we're just going to swap your sexes. So now my dad's my mom, and my mom's my dad. Fun times. Come from Isselra, the Ashen Plains. My mother's tribe was the Wolfstalker tribe. Predominantly orcs, half orcs, some Goliaths, what have you. Don't get along with humans too much because they kept calling me Goblin, and it got me mad, and I would beat them up. Wary of elves because of, what happened with my dad being the pact with the Fey patron and whatnot. So don't hate elves, just very wary of them. And as far as ship position, I was thinking the bosun or the dude you throw at the other boat to cause chaos. Like load me into the catapult, launch me into the other ship.
So either bosun or gunner's mate?
Something, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I got the strength to pull off the bosun, I've got the athletics.
Okay, so
but then I've also got the throw me into the other guy and I'll smash his face in.
So bosun's going to be just what you mentioned, strength athletics combination on your checks, the occasional constitution check, probably a little bit of persuasion would be mixed in there, and a bit of deception as well.
I got -1 in those.
Yeah, so you'll have some challenges, but it only increases the flavor of the stew, is all that does.
Yeah, and instead of going with the ability score improvement, because of the rolls I got, decided to go with the feat Tavern Brawler.
Okay.
So now I do a D4 with my fists.
Did we lose Vince?
I think we lost, yes.
Yep, there he is.
He's back now. But yeah, no hatred towards goblins or anything like that. For the most part, very carefree, happy-go-lucky guy. I got shanghaied when I decided to go on my own adventure, wound up in Rothold, and found the joys of booze. And then one morning woke up on a ship. Figured, what the fuck? I'm here. Let's do this.
Same.
So let's talk about how you all met, because you're going to be starting together. How you meet can either play out in your backstory, if you choose, or it could just be a simple matter of fact. It's up to you. I don't want you to feel like you have to overly derive that approach, whatever you're comfortable with. Fundamentally, at some point, all 5 of you are serving on the same ship, and that's going to be our starting point when we start next Sunday with the first session where you're full characters and ready to play. Everything's mostly kind of built out in the background and stuff like that. So how you all meet on this one ship, I will tell you this much. The ship that you're going to serve on, or presumably serve on, is called the Max Amiser. It is captained by a Goliath barbarian by the name of Trinity. He is currently a privateer, not a pirate. He's a privateer. For all intents and purposes, all of you have your positions on his ship, if that makes sense. Right? So you bosun, the chef, carpenter, first mate, and eventually Shannon's navigator, and all the things that kind of play into that. Now, how you got there together could either be in pairs, could be singular, could be in threes. That's totally up to you. I'll let you role play that out all you want within the dynamic of the game. If you decide that you're two of you are fast friends and you want to run that way, go with it. Perfectly happy. I am not going to lore check you, not my job. I am not going to diminish the world that you want to create, not my job. I do say no if it sounds like something that just can't be done or it's in a direct conflict with the intent or theme of the campaign, or it's something that's just being made up for the purposes of being ridiculous. But other than that, most of these other players will tell you I very rarely ever just say, no, you can't do something. That's your basic starting point. You have your basic secondary skills. Your class, your lineage, and all that can be finalized by next Sunday when we play again. Thoughts, questions about the mechanics? I know for most of you, you're pretty solid. Maddie, do you have any game mechanic questions you'd like to bounce off our heads quickly?
I don't usually have questions until they come up. I am pretty solid on the basics.
Okay.
But if I do have questions in the future, I will definitely let you know.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of a couple ways that I run my encounters. Sometimes I run them theater of the mind. Sometimes I'll run them with a battle cam. My encounters could vary anywhere from a diplomacy or persuasion encounter to a battle encounter to a puzzle encounter. There are many different ways an encounter can play out.
You encounter a puzzle.
Yep.
Hey.
I'm a heavy user of the DC system. In other words, anytime you need to do something under duress, the DC system comes into play. If you're not under duress, I'm not going to make you roll to drink a beer. It doesn't make sense. I may make you roll to keep from getting drunk, but that's a certain form of duress or challenge that you're in. I would also say that the I will say this because I may have not mentioned it enough at the beginning. Couple things. This is an open world campaign. Nothing about it is static in any way. As you mature in the world, so do potential protagonists and antagonists at the same time, right? As the story unfolds, burbles out, and evolves around you. I am not a gamer mechanic where I'm going to steer you to sections of the game where I know only level 5 people could survive, right? I don't do that, right? He's got a light green bar over his head. He's an easy target. My NPCs tend to stick around. Sometimes you only ever interact them with one time. I don't play my characters. My characters are not for me to play. My NPCs exist in the world in a very dynamic way, but I am not going to channel my inner player through my characters. It just doesn't work that way for me. I'm not interested in that way of playing. It's not my muse. My muse is watching all of you immerse yourself in RP, balance of encounters, balance of the game. To me, that's my muse. That's what inspires me to do what I do. So don't ever feel like and I'll never railroad. Railroading is definitely not what I do. That much I could tell you definitively. Definitely not what I do. So other than that, any last minute questions before we call it a night so you guys can busily work on your characters?
How do you spell
Yeah.
maximizer?
MAX-A-MIZER.
Okay, I was just missing the hyphen.
Somebody write that in the Discord.
So, let's talk about the state of the world and the common knowledge of this world that you're getting yourself into. This will be common knowledge from the very beginning of the point of the game, so that it gives you the basis of understanding of what the involvement really means, what the world is currently in, the condition it's in. The Menagerie Coast itself is at the height of its power. The Marquis families have recently had a particular family member come into power by the name of Gregore Asim. Gregore, Gregorie, Asim, Assem. Gregore Asim seems to have different plans for the Marquis. His seat of power does exist in Nicodranus, and Nicodranus is the most influential city along the Menagerie Coast. Currently, the term pirate or pirateer is loosely used to describe thieving behavior, people who are thieves and practice the art of thievery on the high seas. Gregore is in the process of consolidating power. There's already been a family purge. New family members are being brought in to take over Port Damali, Port Zune, and some of the other lesser ports along the Menagerie Coast. It's this political chaos has the privateers a bit in a state of concern. Now, the privateers, as a way to promote cohesion and understanding of the evolution of the world, at the beginning of every spring, before the seaways become more calm, the winter hurricane subsides, the winter season subsides, they join in a festival called the Revels. The Revels is an opportunity for all the privateers to meet, discuss how to set pricing, discuss which guild houses to work for, and there are many hundreds of privateers because the only professional navies are with either the Dwendalian Empire, the Clovis Concord, which is made up of the Marquis. The Kryn occasionally do use the waters when they can. And some other factions from both the Morrow Valley and the far north will occasionally put together a reasonably sized fleet to project their power for whatever purpose they need to project it. But for the most part, the balance of power has been held by the privateers for a great deal of time. The incurrence of wealth setting the prices, forcing most of the ports and those of influence and power to pay the price whether they want to pay it or not. Gregore has taken a different view on this. He is beginning to conspire, and he's beginning to cause challenges. So, with the beginnings of the Revels just around the corner, the world is seeing a bit of a change, something it's not quite used to. Now, what you do already know of Darktow, Darktow is owned by the Marquis, particularly owned specifically by the family that resides in Nicodranus. This family utilizes that port to make repairs of their ships of the line. They charge anybody that needs any kind of repair work. It's also a rather substantially sized town. It's a big port town. It's made up of its own regional governance. It's made up of an infrastructure. The challenge is getting into Darktow. It was purposely built here because the ability to raid it directly is pretty much impossible by sea. It's amongst a series of shallow reefs that make it very difficult to access without the turtle pilot ships that guide ships in for repair. The other thing that you'll be aware of is that the Revels themselves are held in secret. The privateers don't have a formal organization quite yet. They're privateers for a reason. Occasionally dabbling in smuggling, occasionally dabbling in political influence, and safely retrieving or safely getting involved in things that makes them a little extra coin from time to time. but for the most part, of the time, they're privateers. They work by contract, they work by docket, and they get paid by the guilds to transit the waterways safely, delivering goods wherever they need to go. No one knows for sure who started it. No one knows for sure why it was started, whether it was to resolve a dispute, whether it was to resolve or maybe create the opportunity for this. But the Revels have been going on for the better part of 100 years. There's never been a presupposed leader. They seem to have just happened organically. And they happened organically by chance. The rumor or the myth of the Revels, and all of you have partaken in the Revels at least one time, unless you decide you want it to be a new experience for your character. That's perfectly fine as well. But the understanding of the Revels is a common knowledge theme. It is said that an ancient dragon turtle of hundreds of years old died, decomposed, and its shell, for whatever reason, was trapped in a southerly water current south of Rumblecusp and slightly off the coast of, I believe, not slightly, very much way off of the coast, but in an area between Bawali, Rumblecusp, and, hey, Brandon, how do I pronounce that? Urexal?
Uroquazel.
Uroquazel, thank you. So Uroquazel, Rumblecusp, and the southern gate reef of Bawali tend to make up a little bit of a mystery kind of triangle effect. There is a persistent current that has allowed this ancient, and we're talking about a shell roughly the size of a small city. It could encompass the size of a small city. Over the decades, debris and other organic matter has collected on it. It has essentially become a floating island of sorts. And for all intents and purposes, it's often referred to as Shell Island, the Wandering Island, the Island of Mystery. There's many different names for it. But if your captain is a captain that is trusted and loved, they know its location through a network, and that's where the Revels are held in secret, with the sole purpose of the privateers to bond, to get to know each other, to come together in a way that continues to allow them to set the prices and set the condition of the way that things are handled with not only the Marquis families, but the other powerful houses that can't quite afford to build their own fleets and rely on the privateers to keep the transit of goods flowing north-south, and therefore keep the caravans flowing to the Morrow Valley, and, commerce proceeds on. But you know what we'll do? Let's go ahead and start for just a moment, so that when we start next Sunday, you'll have a certain expectation. The five of you, after dealing with the Maximizer and the captain of rather interesting understanding, Captain Trinity, the five of you are in self-reflective sot in the middle of the sea, stranded on a piece of wood, barely big enough to fit the five of you. The hurricane was late, but when it hit, Trinity would not listen to anybody on deck, and he tried to make it through the hurricane. As far as you could tell, the ship was shattered, and all five of you managed to struggle on to a piece of debris amidst the Lucidian Sea. It does appear to be a shrapnel or a section of the bow of the Maximizer. It's big enough for you to have a single bucket that you recovered from the water. You're using it currently to capture fresh water, or whenever you have the ability to produce fresh water. Using the facilities is a bit challenging, obviously, as there's maybe 20 square feet of space on this gradually eroding piece of timber. Every morning, you wake up to a bit of it kind of breaking apart, breaking off. Morning and nights, come and go. Fish pulled out of the water. Food is not exactly perfect, but with the chef's skill to try to feed all of you with the best ability that the chef has at hand, well, you're surviving for now. But it's the transition of spring, right? It's the beginning of spring. So it's transition from winter into spring at this point. Floating out in the middle of nowhere. All four of you, go ahead and give me perception checks, please.
I'm not good at that.
I'm continuing my streak of godly perception checks with a hot 5.
It's gonna be a sweet, sweet 12.
Okay.
I rolled a natural 1 with a +1 though, so 2.
23.
23. Nice.
My D&D Beyond just crashed. Well, I rolled a 10. I don't know any of my modifiers, but
Plus 35. She's a bard.
yeah!
It's based off wisdom.
man. Maybe I'm a wise bard. Who knows? I sure don't at the moment.
Your perception's plus 6.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, so that's 16 then.
For 3 of you, you watch as the half goblin and the half orc, half gnome, half orc, have we decided yet? We don't know. The two stand up and immediately look off into the horizon. The beginnings of a sail, the very beginnings of a sail, far off in the distance. Maddie and Brandon, go ahead and give me survival checks, please.
That is a 22.
Nice.
Dirty 20.
30-20. Few of you realize it does appear to be coming in your direction. Whether you've been spotted or not, you're not entirely sure. But realizing that there still is a great deal of debris free floating around, it could be that maybe they spotted the debris as well. Get the feeling that they're probably at least a half a mile away. And the two of you realize it'll probably be a solid hour or so before they get here. And as a reminder, all of your equipment is gone. All of you are unarmored. And the only thing that each one of you were able to recover was a dagger that you found floating inside of a box that was recovered as well. If you have a spell focus or spell book, we'll say that you managed to retain that, because that would be something that you would keep tight to your quarters. However, everything else is gone, including your wealth. None of that exists. You're watching the ship after about 5 or 10 minutes, and all of you are hoping that it's getting closer. The realization of who it is hasn't set in yet. That seems to be far from your concern, because after 3 days of floating out here, anything at this point probably would feel welcomed. All 5 of you, I'm used to saying 4, right? All 5 of you go ahead and give me perception checks, please. Again, as the time is ticking.
That'd be a hot
13.
10.
That's 21.
Okay. Maddie.
21.
Maddie and what'd you get, Shannon? Sorry.
7. I'm
7.
distracted by how delicious my friends look because it's been 3 days.
Very true. Very true. Maddie, Vince, what'd you get? I'm sorry, that one cut out for me.
Oh, just a 10.
10. So Maddie and Brandon, staring off, both of you catch sight about 30 feet off to the right of this makeshift raft that you're currently in. You watch as a very large, finned, scaly tail kind of arcs out of the water, a thorny backside of protruding bone and muscle. The tail hesitates for a moment and then dips into the water. You're watching as a swell begins to evolve. out
What
there.
now?
Suddenly the wake grows as something immediately under the water is coming towards this raft. And that's where we're going to finish tonight.
Oh god. Oh god.
I was literally in equipment, like figuring out what do I want to have. Let's add this. Oh, okay, that's what my. Oh, okay, nice. You have lost everything.
You
Thankfully, I had
Un-
dagger as one of my weapons.
I did too. Yeah.
Ayy.
Well, unfortunately, I have crazy decks, so.
I also have Tavern Brawler, so I can do improvised weapons. So I can use one of you guys as a weapon.
I have cantrips.
I have
Well,
my
have a natural
familiar
weapon.
because I took voice Pact of the Chain as a shark.
Oh.
It's-
So, if you guys don't mind, linger around with us for a little bit. We are going to raid the dungeon run. One of my favorite. Once on Caffeine, now they've moved over to Twitch. They're one of my favorite channels. I follow them like crazy. If you've never watched the dungeon run, I highly recommend you go out there, do some research, check them out. They're a real fun cast to watch.
Yeah.
Real creative group, and they've recently gone through a rebuild. Their DM is going through some challenges. His daughter was diagnosed with a rare disease, so he's dealing with that right now before they come back online again. And I hope to find out what it is, because I'd like to work with Hope, and perhaps we can do a charity drive of some sort to kind of cross support that group as well. I'm also part of the Discord. I pop in. I like to watch the Real Ogden channel. He's a pretty funny dude, pretty clever dude, and I like him. But on that note, stay with us for a minute. Remember, go down to our Discord, take a look at our Discord, come on over. Everything you need to know or learn about playing this game can be had there. It's a real fun time. If you haven't already, please follow us or subscribe or donate bits or go to Patreon. Whatever you can do or afford is fine. If you cannot afford any of that, don't do it, but still come over to Discord. We tag you as a member and you can join in the conversation with us. Shannon, what's up?
I have an offer. Next person to follow will be number 69. Whoever the 69th follower is,
Ooh.
I will get you some dice out of my own pocket.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hang around to check out the dungeon run. Let's go and give them some raidsies.
Oh, there it is.
There's that 69.
Yeah, Dan, I got you. boo.
Nice.
That's cheating.
The next person that joins will also be person number 69. I'm kidding. Or am I?
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So with that, everybody, see you next Sunday. Bye, y'all.
See you next time, dude.
See you guys.
Bye.